Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Superhuman Radio. We have a really interesting study to discuss today that was done on naked mole rats, looking at longevity and comparing some of the information that we have about epigenetics and predictability of aging in humans, too, that we're going to talk about. And then later in the show, we're going to talk about a peptide, a favorite peptide of mine, GHKCU, and how it can actually improve skin quality and reduce some of the signs of aging in skin. Many of you know we've done shows on GHKCU injectable because it has this pleiotropic effects on genes that are associated with better aging. It's the blue copper peptide, and it's in a face cream now, and you can use it. We actually have a listener or viewer, for those of you watching on Facebook or YouTube. We actually have a viewer who's been using it, a guy. Most of us guys don't really think about our skin, but he's had amazing success with it. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show. Of course, before we do any of that, we have to thank our title sponsor, and that's Legendary Foods, makers of the Tasty Pastry. The Tasty Pastry started out to be an alternative to a Pop-Tart, and it's become so much more. Less than 1 gram of sugar, 20 grams of high-quality, high-leucine protein, less than 4 to 5 net carbs for those of you who are carb conscious. More importantly, you'll eat them because they taste amazing. Most of us sacrifice flavor for staying in our dietary lane, so to speak. The Tasty Pastry tastes so good, you will eat it because it tastes great. It tastes like you're eating real cake. And believe me when I tell you this, if you have children in your household, you're going to be fighting with them because they're going to want to eat them all in one day. Most kids won't eat a good-for-you protein bar, but they will demand that you have Legendary's Tasty Pastries in-house all the time. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary. Use the code SHR10 to save 10% off. And now, without further delay, let me cue up my imagery. Open up my microphones, bring on my guests. Welcome to the show, Dr. Chris Faulkes, and also Dr. Vera Gorbunova.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for being here. Before we get into your research, Dr. Faulkes and I were talking before you came in, Dr. Gorbunova, about the relevancy of all of this epigenetic testing. We've been talking about epigenetic testing on this show for 3 years now. We've had several companies that offer epigenetic testing. And after doing this show for 16 years, I start to question the relevancy of a lot of these things that we think are important. And then 5-6 years later, we don't talk about them anymore. One of which was clotho. I remember interviewing a scientist from the Albert Einstein School of Medicine about the discovery of clotho and how it made C. elegans live twice as long. And we thought, oh, clotho, it's going to make people live longer. And we don't even talk about clotho anymore. So I'm going to ask both of you individually. In the scope of the Horvath discoveries and epigenetic testing, methylation clocks, all these wonderful scientific terms. What does it really mean? If I'm 50 years old and my biological age is 87 and the average lifespan of an American is 76, should I be expecting to die in a year or two? Dr. Faulkes, I'll let you go first.
Well, hopefully not. Yeah. I mean, that's a really good question. Wow. I mean, I think there's so many factors involved in your biological age, that methylations and your epigenome is one of them. But I mean, I guess, some people are destined to live longer than others. So maybe biological age, it is a real thing. All else being equal, if you stay as healthy as you can and avoid accidents, and some people do, inevitably look really young for their age. I guess that's all part of it. So yeah, maybe it is a helpful measure, but I think you'd probably not want to get too hung up on it. Otherwise you'd be walking around thinking, hell, I'm going to drop dead any minute or something.
What do you think, Dr. Gorbunova, about my question?
Well, it is definitely a helpful measure. It's just important to understand that this is a statistical measure. So even if it predicts somebody's biological age, there is a big error bar on it. And it may be, 2, 3, 4 years plus or minus. And of course, it doesn't take into account other events that may happen. There may be, a person may be run over by a bus and no methylation clock can predict it. Or there may be some other environmental influence that happens. So I think with all these caveats, I believe that this is a very, very important discovery, because before that, that's part of the reason why people were using C. elegans so much, because it was really difficult to do lifespan studies on people. People live very long, and any study would become really too long, prohibitively expensive. Now with these methylation clocks, you can measure biomarkers. Even after 6 months of intervention, you can apply it, and it gives some information. And then another, I think, important consideration is that these biological clocks are constantly improving. So when somebody offers you a test, so this is still work in progress. These clocks are very good at measuring chronological age. So let's say if you hide your passport, and then they will run your blood DNA, and they can tell you, pretty accurately what your age is. But it's not the same as predicting the time to death or time to a serious disease. So I think this kind of clocks, so Steve Horvath developed one clock like that called Grim Age. So it's a clock that predicts when a person will die. And again, there is still very big error bar on that. But this is where the progress needs to happen to make this kind of predictor more accurate, because our epigenome contains a lot of information, and extracting it in a predictive way, not so much just telling you what's in your driver's license or passport, but actually predicting what will happen in terms of disease. So this is an ongoing project, and I think we are getting better and better at that.
I see, and I have a problem with the whole biological age thing, because they're selling this to people who are neophytes. Perhaps maybe they're not very scientific. They don't read a lot of the literature, and they're making people think that, because right now there's an ad on Instagram, reverse your biological age by 5 years in 3 months. So people think that means, wow, I'm biologically younger, which equates to I'm going to live longer. And I look at it quite differently. I feel like it is an indicator of the amount of wear and tear on your body, as opposed to chronological age. So it's almost like, I've got a car, it's got 200,000 miles on it, but I just had a brand new engine put in it and a new transmission. And so even though it's 200,000 miles on it, it's probably in better shape than the average 200,000 mile car. And I understand that conveying this, we live in a world of snapshots and sound bites. You know, a little line here gets everybody to read this article. You know, clickbait, and so we're so used to having to summarize things into short little snippets that it's insulting to the science itself. We really need people to become elevated and educated in the process. But I have a problem with the epigenetic companies that are selling testing, positioning it the way they do. And so that's my own pet peeve. And we've had several of them advertise on the show, and they've been good sponsors, don't get me wrong. But I think their message needs to be made a little bit more accurate, if you will. You know, that's just my opinion. So now let's talk about your research. Describe your study. Talk about your study. How was your study designed? Who wants to grab that?
I guess I could kick off a bit here. So we've been looking at the possible methylation clocks in naked mole rats a little bit for a few years, and then we linked up with Steve, who has this amazing genome-wide methodology for looking at mammalian epigenomes. So we thought that this would be perfect, you know, to get a real good handle on what's going on in the naked mole rats, because I don't know if the viewers or the listeners know, naked mole rats are just crazy in terms of their longevity. For a small rodent about the size of a mouse, I think Vera, correct me if I'm wrong, the latest is an animal is 37 years old, which is really
I heard 40.
40, yeah. Someone probably told me that 3 years ago, and the time's flown by in the meantime. But for such a small rodent, this is just unprecedented. So that's really what's triggered all of the research into aging in naked mole rats. But we, for several reasons, we really wanted to get this genome-wide study of methylation done. Well, to build better clocks, so that actually, if we went out in the field and, you know, took a blood sample from an animal, we'd be able to tell what its age was. You know, and that's really powerful to be able to do that out in the field, where, you know, you've got no knowledge of, or there's no way of aging animals. So that's really one big motivation for some of these studies, and secondly, of course, to look to see where these methylation tags are in the genome and what happens with age, and can it give us insights into how naked mole rats, you know, resist the signs of aging, because apart from their longevity, their health span is so long. And I think that's the most interesting thing, because, you know, you don't necessarily want to live a long time. You want to live a long health span, and naked mole rats certainly do that. They appear to resist all the usual signs of aging. So I think that was a big motivation of the study and its design. Vera, I don't know if you've got anything to add to that.
I have a question for Dr. Gorbunova. So whenever we talk about rodent studies, we can't help but hear the scientists talk about how the mouse, their metabolism is much faster than the human. Mice live, I think, 22 months, and that's it. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but they have very, very short lives. Mm-hmm. And we always hear about their metabolism is so fast. And so compared to the naked mole rat, does the naked mole rat have a very fast metabolism like a rodent? Like a mouse? They are rodents.
No, they don't. They are slower. But I want to caution people to, you know, not to explain everything by metabolism, because definitely faster metabolism generally correlates with just faster life and shorter lifespan, but not always. If you think of a hummingbird, it probably has the fastest metabolism of all, and they live, I think, like 20 years. So some species for which it's beneficial, you know, in terms of their ecology, to have fast metabolism, and also beneficial to live for a long time, they find ways around it. With naked mole rat, they live a bit slower than mice, but the degree, you know, if we just scale metabolism with how long they live, I mean, it doesn't scale here. Their metabolism may be, you know, slightly slower, but they live more than 10 times longer. So definitely that doesn't explain everything. And one more thing I wanted to add, so thank you, Chris, for introducing naked mole rat as a longevity system. Besides just living for a long time, what people observed from previous, like more demography studies of mole rat colonies, it didn't seem that their mortality increases with age, because if you take human population and like the older people get, mortality goes up. For naked mole rat populations of societies, it doesn't look this way. So that's why for us it was a very puzzling question: do they even age genetically? Because every other species that was examined, it was possible to develop epigenetic clock. For naked mole rat, we thought, oh, what if it's impossible? So that was even, a very intriguing exercise in the beginning. We thought maybe we won't be able to develop a good clock, but we were.
Interesting. So what did you do? How did you develop these methylation clocks or identify them? You use different tissue from different parts of the mole rat, correct?
Yeah, so we had tissue. Had a lot of blood samples collected from live animals. We had the tissue samples collected from animals that died. And then all of these, we extracted DNA from them. And then DNA was sequenced to determine the sites that are methylated and not methylated. And then all of this information was analyzed statistically, and that's the part that Steve Horwitz did, and used for his regression analysis to find out those methylation sites that are predictive of age.
Okay. Did you look at the mole? Well, first of all, do naked mole rats live underground?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously their name is mole, but I just want to make sure before I make an assumption. Did you look at their gut microbiome at all?
Well, we did a little bit. Other people did as well. I think more people need to look into that, and we also have collaborations going on, because one study, which I was not involved in, looked at the gut microbiome of wild naked mole rats, and they found certain differences. But microbiome is very influenced by what you eat and where you live, that sometimes if we really want to find something that helps them live longer, we need to have the correct experiment. We need to have mice on the same food in the same facility.
Right. No, I agree. But something that Dr. Faulkes and I talked about off air was the relationship of oxytocin and longevity and a more youthful phenotype. And there are certain microbes in the gut, like L. rotari, some of the bifidos, that correlate with certain hormones. And I don't want to say these microbes have an effect on the hormones. I think it's more the hormones have an effect on the microbes. But I'm just curious if there is the way to identify maybe microbes that are playing a role in the naked mole rat's longevity and health span. That's all. I was just curious.
That's an interesting thought. I mean, I guess it's worth saying a little bit about the naked mole rat's biology in its natural habitat. As you know, you were asking, they live completely underground, and most of their crazy biology and adaptations are as a result of living completely underground in really arid regions of East Africa. So they come from Kenya, Ethiopia, and Somalia. And these semi-arid areas, pose a lot of challenges when you're living underground, because they eat underground roots and tubers, and they have to dig through this really hard soil to find them. And so that's why we find them, in these huge social groups, which is the other thing that naked mole rats are really famous for. They behave a bit like a social insect. So you can have groups of often around 100, but sometimes up to 300 in a colony in the wild. Yet there's only a single female that breeds. She mates with 1 or 2 or 3 breeding males. The rest of the colony are completely reproductively suppressed for their entire lives. So they don't go through puberty, although they do reach an adult body size. So in fact, that messes with our whole notion of what an adult is, because an adult is normally an animal that's gone through puberty. But most of the naked mole rats in the book are pre-pubertal in terms of their reproductive system. So they're busy all digging away, cooperating basically to help the queen rear more offspring. And by doing so, yeah, I mean, they're exposed to all kinds of interesting bugs in the soil. Their gut microbiome is pretty interesting because of that. They also exhibit coprophagy, so that, you know, they eat feces, and so on. So because they ferment the cellulose in the food, their gut flora and fauna is really important in that process. They have a very enlarged cecum, and it's all part of their digestive process. So diet is probably quite an important part of their whole biology for many reasons.
Dr. Gorbunova, is there any evidence of a procedure of selectivity of who's going to mate with the queen, or is it just the luck of the draw?
Well, I think there are certain character traits perhaps that get selected. Although, you know, it's not easy to be a matchmaker for mole rats, because with mice, you just take a male and female, put them in a cage, and then there will be a litter a few weeks later. With mole rats, it doesn't work this way. So we're setting up those pairs, and the success rate is below 50%. So I think both animals have to be in the right mood, and sort of hormonally also maybe already approaching that puberty stage. Now, sometimes, yeah, the female may be already reproductive, and then she selects a male. I don't know, maybe Chris will have more to say about that. In my just observation, when I see those...
Well, Chris, before you speak to that, let me add this to the discussion. We know that in humans, women can sense from a man's pheromones and from the kiss that the man possesses certain biological characteristics that the woman needs in order to have healthy offspring. This has been proven in science. It happens. We can talk about attraction and all that sort of stuff, but this has been shown in science. Do you think that the queen is responsible for selecting the males that she will mate with based on her recognizing that this is what we need for the population?
Well, but let me just say one of my not very scientific observation. I think the breeder males tend to have bigger jaws, and they tend to be larger. So I think definitely she is attracted to certain type.
Right. Bigger, stronger ones. Yeah.
Yeah, and she selects these males by whatever criteria. I mean, it could be some body size characteristic or scent even, we don't really know. But she certainly forms a very long-term bond with those males. So sometimes it's just one male, so you've got a monogamous system, but sometimes she might have 2 or perhaps 3 partners. But nevertheless, they're the same males that she forms a really strong bond with, that can go on, you know, really until the males die. So it's really like a monogamous system. And
what I find amazing that sometimes we have these, intrigues, like there may be another female that starts to challenge the queen, and she would select a different male. And then together they form an alliance. So the old male stays loyal, but she attracted new one.
This is fascinating.
Wow. It's just like the Game of Thrones, this whole thing, I can tell you.
It sounds like it. I want to take our first commercial break. When we come back, I want to discuss the science that you unveiled that may potentially translate to us humans aging better. What did we learn? What did we learn from your research on the naked mole rat? We're going to take one quick commercial break. We'll be right back with more Superhuman Radio. Stay tuned. I would easily say that I am the hugest proponent you will ever meet to doing anything that will improve the quality of my sleep. And that's because sleep is linked to just about every metabolic disorder we see in our population today. One of the easiest things you can do to improve the quality of your sleep is to get a pillow that can be shaped into the exact form factor that allows you to get your best night's sleep. And that is MyPillow. I've been sleeping with MyPillow for a few years now, and I can tell you that when I have to travel and stay in hotels, I don't get a good night's sleep because I don't have MyPillow with me. Right now, you can save up to 60% off of everything offered to improve the quality of your sleep at shrnetwork.biz/mypillow when you use the code SHR. Or you can call toll-free 800-889-4938. And remember to use code SHR to save up to 60% off of everything at their website. If you've listened to this show for any length of time, you know that I have struggled to give up coffee for years. Coffee has destroyed my gut and it's impaired my health. Well, I haven't had coffee in months thanks to a product called Magic Mind. Magic Mind is the first nootropic blend I actually feel working. One shot and I'm good all day long. My memory is crystal clear and I'm able to function and have great focus without coffee or caffeine for that matter. If you want to try a product that really works, if you're like me and you want to give up coffee forever, or you just need something occasionally that will help you lift the brain fog, Magic Mind is your product. I promise you that this product you will feel when you use it. Go to shrnetwork.biz/Magic Mind, all one word, and use the code SHR for a whopping 20% off your first order. MK Supplements grass-fed beef liver is from 100% pasture-raised New Zealand cattle. Unlike other manufacturers, they use a gentle freeze-drying method to turn fresh liver into a powder before filling it into gelatin capsules. Additionally, they don't use hexane or any other harsh chemicals to defat their organ meat. From the glass container and metal lid they use to package their products to the recyclable shipping materials they use for delivery, their goal is to provide the highest quality, most eco-friendly supplements on the market. Go to shrnetwork.biz/liver and use code SUPERHUMAN to receive 15% off your order today. C60, also known as Buckminster fullerene, is the most powerful, most versatile antioxidant in the world. It's been shown in studies to double the lifespan of rodents. We all know the importance of taking antioxidants to slow aging, reduce inflammation, and improve mitochondrial function and energy production. But there are literally hundreds of antioxidants that would cost you thousands of dollars to take every day. I take one. I take C60 from C360 Health. Revive and Rejuvenate are two blends that harness the power of C60. Don't waste another minute. Go to shrnetwork.biz/revive and use the code SHR for 15% off and free shipping inside the United States today. Remember those rectangular toaster pastries you used to love when you were a kid? Well, Legendary Foods has just made them better. The new cake-style tasty pastry is like nothing you've ever had before. With 20 grams of high-quality protein and less than 1 gram of sugar, you'll feel like you're cheating, but you're not. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use the code SHR10 to save 10% off your purchase of tasty pastries. Now available in cookies and cream, red velvet cake, birthday cake, blueberry, strawberry, brown sugar cinnamon, and hot fudge sundae. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use code SHR10 today. The holidays are over and it's time to set your eyes on new goals for the new year. In the thick of winter and sick season, it's more important than ever to support your immune system so that you are strong, healthy, and able to tackle your 2022 goals. Did you know that one of the biggest ways you can boost your immunity is by supporting your gut health? It's true. In fact, 70% of your immune system is in your gut. That's why it's time to get Biome Breakthrough. Biome Breakthrough has powerful probiotics, prebiotics, as well as a one-of-a-kind ingredient called IGY Max. IGY Max is a patented egg-based protein that enhances gut health, reverses damage caused by antibiotics, and even helps with immunity threats. By taking Biome Breakthrough daily, you'll eliminate bad bacteria, feed good bacteria, build up your immunity, and repair your gut lining all at the same time. Go to shrnetwork.biz/biome and use code SHR for 10% off and get a full year, no questions asked satisfaction guarantee.
You're listening to the Superhuman Channel. Don't hate us because we feel good.
Welcome back. That was a picture of the naked mole rat. Not a very attractive animal at all. But hey, you know, whatever we can learn is great. We're talking today with Dr. Chris Faulkes and Dr. Vera Gorbunova about the longevity of this rodent and what we can learn from it that maybe will enhance and improve human longevity. So what did you discover? What did you discover? Who wants to take that? Whoever wants to jump in. How about
I
Dr.
can
Gorbunova?
start.
You go first. You go, Dr. Gorbunova.
So there are many things. I would say the most important, we found that naked mole rats age epigenetically. So that was a very important discovery, because that means that you can separate aging physiologically or demographically, and aging epigenetically. So it also means that typically we think of epigenetic aging as just accumulation of some sort of damage.
Metabolic debris. I call it metabolic debris that we accumulate. Yes.
Well, it's metabolic debris, but they also lead to this change in the signature on the epigenome, because DNA in our cells, it's packaged a certain way. Right, and you can think about it as a sock drawer. You fold everything very neatly, but then as you keep going in and out, and DNA gets transcribed and replicated, so then you don't put it back as neatly. So after a few weeks, your sock drawer looks like a mess. So this is what happens to our epigenome or genetic packaging. But this is one way of looking at it, right? And that's what we think the epigenetic clock is measuring. But in naked mole rat, it doesn't lead to physiological deterioration, or at least not as much as in other species. So that's why for us, it's very important now to understand how are naked mole rats different in the epigenetic aging from mice, for example, or even people. So that was one finding. And the second really cool thing that we found was that queens, those, the only breeding female, they actually age slower than the rest of the animals. And, if you think about eusocial insects, it may not be that surprising, because we know queen bees live for a long time. But the queen bees are very different from the rest of the worker bees. And with naked mole rats, those queens are not that different. Every female can become a queen potentially. So that is even counterintuitive, because people think about having children as being
Wearing
difficult.
your body out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wearing you out. And those queens, they have babies every 3 months, more or less, and it it doesn't wear them out. So that's again another very interesting observation, especially for a mammalian organism.
So Dr. Faulkes, you and I talked off air with my theory of procreation. So every species is supposed to produce offspring, and the more you do that, the body actually gets rewarded by things like oxytocin, changes in hormonal milieux, stress reduction, and all that. Could that be why the queen lives longer, because she's doing job one constantly?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly could be. It's not something we've really thought about in that context, but in terms of oxytocin, we know that that's really.
We have a bad connection.
I think we cut out there. We know that oxytocin is really important on naked mole rats, because we find that if we look at the patterns of receptors for oxytocin in the brain of the naked mole rat, there's concentrations of that in a really important bit of the brain called the nucleus accumbens, which is involved in reward systems. As you were mentioning, sexual activity produces reward in the nucleus accumbens, but one of our hypotheses is that actually just the act of being social and living all together in this close proximity likely causes some kind of reward for all of the animals, actually, not just the breeding female. So they get a reward from acting socially and cooperatively and having these really strong affiliative bonds within the colony. So I think that in the great scheme of things, oxytocin is a really important part of their lifestyle, and their reward, get this reward from behaving in this way. But certainly, the breeding queens, can produce phenomenal numbers of offspring. One case I think I mentioned, a queen who lived to be 24 had 900 offspring. I mean, it's absolutely mind-blowing. So you'd have thought actually that that puts a lot of physical and metabolic stress on the body. So it's kind of surprising that the queens do seem to age more slowly. You'd have thought it would be the other way around, considering how much effort they have to put in to maintain their dominant position. And, you know, you would have thought they would suffer from sort of executive stress or something, because it's quite a tough job being a queen. And, you know, these queens are not only, you know, getting pregnant, they reach a huge body size when they get pregnant, and with up to 26, 27 offspring, but also they have to patrol around the colony, the burrow system, all of the time to make their presence felt, to keep the other animals reproductively suppressed. So they're highly active within the burrow system as well.
Fascinating. You know, they're ugly creatures. I'm sorry, they are. I mean, look, but I know somebody said, who said,
that's me. Yeah, I've been working with them for so long. You know, they just look really cute to me.
But I mean, they look old all the time. Like they look like they're born old. So how do you really know that they're aging at all?
I know it's really funny. Someone said that the other day. You know, they've got so many wrinkles anyway. What do a few more matter when you age? But actually, it's quite interesting, and I'm sure Vera will confirm as well. That when you look at a really old animal, you can kind of see they do look a little bit different in terms of their skin is a little bit more fragile and kind of parchmenty, very similar to human skin. You know, in an old person. But you know, otherwise, you know, it's business as usual. They're into old age. They're very active, and they keep reproducing. You know, as far as we know, right up to their maximum possible lifespan. That the oldest animal we were talking about earlier, who was at 37 at least, was a breeding male, in fact. So, yeah, they don't really have any menopause or anything like that.
Dr. Gorbunova, the new star, so to speak, in the anti-aging target is now senescent cells. Good friend of the show, Dr. Mikhail Blagascloni, who has done a lot of research on using drugs that suppress mTOR, like rapamycin and other protocols, has really brought senescent cells into the forefront. I think the first time I had him on my show was 2013, and he's been on the show numerous times since then, although now he's kind of not doing any public stuff right now. And so senescent cells accumulation seems to cause a lot of problems associated with the sick aging phenotype. Do we know if these mole rats accumulate senescent cells, and if so, is it something that could be leading to their aging when they do start to age?
Well, senescent cells, you know, it's a very hot topic, obviously, but a challenging aspect of all this senescence field is that we still don't have very reliable ways of quantifying these cells in vivo. In vitro, it's very easy, and I have worked on senescent cells, you know, early in my career for almost a decade. So it's very easy to study in vitro. There are very clear phenotypes. In vivo, it's just hard to find them, and there are some markers, but none of them are perfect. So with regard to naked mole rats, what I can say, nobody has up to now has quantified senescent cells in vivo. So we don't know if, for example, mole rats accumulate fewer senescent cells than other species. And even for humans, you know, there's a huge now program by NIH to just start making a map of where these cells actually are. But what we've done in vitro with naked mole rats, and we published it a couple of years ago, we took naked mole rat cells and we stressed them in a typical way how you make senescent cells out of human cell. And we were successful at producing senescent cells. So they are not immune to senescence. So you can make senescent naked mole rat cells. There were certain differences. For example, compared to mouse cells, we had to apply harsher stress. to naked Morad cells to make them senescent.
So they're more
they are
resistant.
somewhat resistant.
Yeah, resistant. That's interesting. That's interesting. What about telomeres? I mean, before senescent cells, everything was about telomere length and telomere shortening and DNA. Do we see a telomere length in the older naked mole rats representative of an older individual?
Well, I know Chris published a paper with involving telomeres. Well, in general.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead, Chris.
There's been a. Oh no, sorry. Yeah. There's been a couple of studies, and I think also some of Vera's work as well. All points to the fact that their telomeres don't really seem to shorten too much with age, and their telomerase can be, remain active, possibly because they have other methods of resisting cancer, so they can kind of get away with, maintaining their telomere length and having their telomerase switched on.
Naked mole rats, telomerase really isn't a big deal. In general, what we showed that smaller animals tend to express telomerase, and they don't really have this replicative type of senescence, because there is senescence that's due to telomeres getting short, and naked mole rats don't suffer from that. And there is also senescence because of stress, and through stress we can induce senescence. Telomeres getting short is more a problem of larger animals than us humans included. For naked mole rats, no. Something interesting, though, although it becomes a little bit complicated scientifically. So most small animals, like small rodents, mice, rats, they have very long telomeres, and they have telomerase. So senescence is not an issue for them at all. Naked mole rats have active telomerase, but their telomeres are not very long. They're about human size. So they may be somewhat at this border. So like under normal circumstances, they don't shorten their telomeres, but still they keep their telomeres short enough that maybe under certain conditions, they could shut off telomerase and probably undergo kind of senescence. So I think naked mole rats are interesting in this regard, that they're different from most other small rodents, that they keep human lengths of telomeres.
Aubrey de Grey was on the show 10 years ago, and everybody knows that he was the father of the mitochondrial theory of aging. Do we see anything unique about naked mole rat mitochondria? Chris, you want to grab that?
Yeah, I'm just dredging the memory banks, actually. Certainly, there's some evidence to suggest that in muscle, so in their leg muscles we looked at, that maintaining mitochondrial numbers and especially kind of, what would we call it, sort of wild type mitochondrial DNA within these mitochondria in the muscles prevents age-related.
Yeah, we lost you there again, Chris. I think your wireless your Wi-Fi may be packeting some of this stuff and dropping it. You want to finish that up again, that last couple sentences?
Oh, no. Chris, you muted yourself.
Oh, you muted yourself. That's what it is. Somehow you got muted.
Yeah, I think the internet was being a problem there, and I went on to mute. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, it seems that certainly from some work we did with their muscles and looking at age-related muscle wasting, which they don't show. So this age-related, sarcopenia, the mitochondria were implicated in that process of resisting muscle wasting. And it seems that within the mitochondrial DNA that accumulates, big deletions and so on with aging, they seem to be able to, we can see damaged mitochondrial DNA, but we also see a lot of good, non-deleted or mitochondrial DNA without deletions as well. So they seem to have some mechanism there that's mitochondrial based that helps avoid muscle wasting. And I think the mitochondria in other tissues. I'm not sure if Vera remembers any other studies that indicate that could be part of their assessment.
Oh, I remember there was a study where they isolated mitochondria. I don't remember what tissue it was, maybe even liver, and showed that in naked mole rat, the mitochondria is somewhat more accurate in terms of releasing free radicals. So
they seem to be able to get over the effects of oxidative chemicals and free radicals, although you can see those compounds, but somehow they seem to have these repair mechanisms, I think, that can help mitigate against that.
We're gonna take our last commercial break of this interview. When we come back, we're gonna wrap up the discussion. I want to ask you about cancer in the naked mole rats if it occurs. I also want to ask you what really surprised you about this research. Then later in the show, we're going to talk about how to reverse the aging of your skin because we're so vain. Look at this. I don't know if you know who Jimmy Hoffa is, but he's actually buried in between one of these lines in my forehead. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Superhuman Radio. Being superhuman means being conscientious about the choices we make. White Oak Pastures is superhuman when it comes to raising livestock. They're committed to animal welfare, land regeneration, and rural revival. They responsibly manage the entire process from the pasture to your doorstep. High-quality, pasture-raised, great-tasting meat from a farm you can trust. Full nose-to-tail selections. They even have options for your pet. Go to shrnetwork.biz/whiteoak and use the code SUPERHUMAN to save 10% off your entire first order. Have you been struggling to achieve results in the gym? Trouble sleeping through the night? Overwhelmed with stress or anxiety? Look no further than Infiniwell supplements. They have designed products to address specific needs like muscle growth, hormone balance, sleep, and anxiety from the first use. Infiniwell helps you live well. Go to shrnetwork.biz/bewell, that's BEWELL, and use code SHR20 and start living well today. C60, also known as Buckminster fullerene, is the most powerful, most versatile antioxidant in the world. It's been shown in studies to double the lifespan of rodents. We all know the importance of taking antioxidants to slow aging, reduce inflammation, and improve mitochondrial function and energy production. But there are literally hundreds of antioxidants that would cost you thousands of dollars to take every day. I take one. I take C60 from C360 Health. Revive and Rejuvenate are two blends that harness the power of C60. Don't waste another minute. Go to shrnetwork.biz/revive and use the code SHR for 15% off and free shipping inside the United States today. If you've listened to this show for any length of time, you know that I have struggled to give up coffee for years. Coffee has destroyed my gut and it's impaired my health. Well, I haven't had coffee in months thanks to a product called Magic Mind. Magic Mind is the first nootropic blend I actually feel working. One shot and I'm good all day long. My memory is crystal clear and I'm able to function and have great focus without coffee or caffeine for that matter. If you want to try a product that really works, if you're like me and you want to give up coffee forever, or you just need something occasionally that will help you lift the brain fog, Magic Mind is your product. I promise you that this product you will feel when you use it. Go to shrnetwork.biz/Magic Mind, all one word, and use the code SHR for a whopping 20% off your first order.
Dogs should be powered by fat and protein, not carbs. That's why Visionary Pet makes low-carb, ketogenic dog food for dogs of all breeds and life stages. From kibble to freeze-dried and even low-carb treats, all Visionary Pet recipes are very low-carb, ketogenic, and made with 100% real meat protein. Shop now and use code SHR for 20% off your first order today. Your dog deserves the lifelong benefits of optimal nutrition. Make the switch to Visionary and see why smart dogs eat low carb.
New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
This is the Superhuman Channel. Evolution just got kicked up a notch.
Switch things around and we put Dr. Gorbunova up on top there. We're talking with Dr. Vera Gorbunova and Dr. Chris Faulkes. We're talking about what we can learn from the naked mole rat to perhaps enhance the quality of human aging. Before we wrap up this discussion and kind of summarize, what about cancer? Is there a low, very, very low rate of cancer? Does cancer even exist in the naked mole rat?
It happens. So like in biology, nothing is absolute. So there was several cases reported, but compared to mice or even to humans, it's extremely rare. In mice, almost 80% of them have cancer by the time they're old. And considering there were thousands of naked mole rats that were followed up for many, many years, there were, just a handful of cases reported.
What if we find out the fact that the naked mole rat eats its own poop is the way to live longer? Do you think humans will start doing it? No, I don't. I'm just joking. So what did we learn from this study that we can say maybe did we learn that using the Horvath clocks that they are accurate for gauging age, and does that mean it's gauging age in humans as well?
Yeah, I think in my take on this, that one of the really interesting things in the paper is the fact that Steve was able to plot these joint human naked mole rat clocks, using a subset of the methylation sites. I think that was really amazing and unexpected, and kind of gives us lots of scope to look at those particular methylation spots to see what's in common and how humans and naked mole rats possibly aging in a similar kind of way. So that by looking at these extreme weird creatures, it can really tell us something about human aging.
You want to add to that, Dr. Gorbunova?
Yes, definitely. So we started looking in that paper, comparing human versus naked mole rat versus mouse, and finding things that are common between those pairs, because, well, human is another long-lived animal and mouse is a rodent that's phylogenetically closer to naked mole rats, but it's very short-lived. So we found partial overlaps, and in some respects there were more overlaps between human and naked mole rat, and not between naked mole rat and mouse, that it's phylogenetic relative. So those sites we would speculate are relevant to long life, because otherwise there are not that many things in common between humans and naked mole rats other than being naked.
Yeah.
Right. Before we're going to go on, and we have some good questions to put up. But before we do that, Bobby Boucher says, "I love this channel, and I loved you in Waterboy." Bobby Boucher, that's actually the name of Adam Sandler's character in Waterboy. I'm sure maybe his real name is Bobby Boucher. My good friend from my childhood, Paul Giordano, is watching live. Thanks for being here, Paul. So this question comes from YouTube, and it's from Cola Quench. He says, if there is time for this question, what is Dr. Vera's current opinion of anthocyanidin for SIRT6? Seems fucoidin, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it, is more discussed recently. Any idea on either of those? I don't know what he's talking about.
Well, yes, so it takes us a little bit away from naked mole rats. So because another part of my research activity is focused on epigenetics in more general terms, and what can we change in our epigenome to rejuvenate people. Some of things we learn from naked mole rats, some from other studies. So SIRT6 is an enzyme, epigenetic enzyme that can, supposedly rejuvenate. If you put an extra dose of it into mice, they live longer. And we have some evidence that it can rejuvenate human cells. So we were looking for activators. Obviously, you want to activate it, right? And not by making transgenic person, but more like with dietary activators.
Right.
So this is what the listener is asking about, anthocyanidin or fucoidan. So these are different plant-derived compounds that there is some evidence that they activate SIRT6. So we've been particularly looking at fucoidan because SIRT6 has different enzymatic activities. And different compounds that mostly activate the acetylation activity, but we found that in long-lived people, in centenarians, often their SIRT6 may have another activity, mono-ADP ribosylation enhanced, which was a very big surprise because everyone was just looking at the acetylation. So then we looked at all those plant compounds and thought which ones actually activate this relevant activity, mono-ADP ribosylation. That's where fucoidan was the winner. And this is a very interesting because fucoidan comes from seaweed. And seaweed, we know that the consumption of seaweed is highest in Japan, South Korea. So these are countries with highest life expectancy. So certainly eating seaweed won't harm anyone. And this is something we've been really studying. And we have mouse studies now feeding mice seaweed. And I don't have the results.
I'm assuming it comes from fucosanthin, which is an antioxidant that comes from seaweed.
Brown seaweed.
Yeah, brown seaweed. I didn't recognize. Lots of things increase sirtuins. Managing blood sugar, taking things like resveratrol, intermittent fasting. So there's so many things that increase sirtuin production today. Do we need a supplement?
Well, so in general, yes, certain things that we know, like lifestyle modification that know are good for us, yes, so they would increase sirtuin somewhat, and there are reports about that. But obviously, we want to go beyond that because, we know that if you eat healthy and exercise and don't overeat, so this is all good, but it may extend lifespan by a couple years, but humans want to go above and beyond that. So this is why we look for those activators.
We're running low on time, and I want to get this other question in real quick. So we know that ketones are actually signaling molecules now. They're more than just an energy substrate. Do naked mole rats produce ketones when they can't find food?
Wow, it's a good question. I don't know.
Ketones have been associated with increasing longevity genes. Activity and a lot. I take ketones every day. I do. I use ketone salts from Audacious Nutrition, and I sip them all day long. It'd be interesting to see what the ketone levels of some of these naked mole rats are. Let's get this one last question in too. So it says, this is from Finn Mackey, also watching on YouTube. He says, is it possible that there's something either in the blood or cells of naked mole rats that would allow them to shrug off oxidative stress? I advertised C60, carbon 60, which was used to double the lifespan of rodents in 2 studies. Maybe oxidative stress is the magic in longevity.
Well, we've showed some years ago that naked mole rats are very stuffed with hyaluronic acid, high molecular weight hyaluronic acid, and it is an antioxidant. It's a scavenger. And that actually may be the reason that naked mole rats actually low on certain antioxidant enzyme like GPX4, but instead they have this hyaluronan that helps them deal with oxidative stress.
Interesting. Very interesting. Listen, this has been fascinating and too short of a time to cover the science. So I'm going to have Elisa reach back out to you again, because especially Dr. Gorbunova, I would love to know more about some of your other work that you're involved with, okay? So we're going to get you, both of you, booked back on the show as soon as possible, okay? Okay. No, really. I really, we talked about the naked mole rat, but it sounds to me like there's a lot more exciting stuff that we could be talking about, okay? Take care. Thanks for being here.
Thanks a lot, Carl. That was really good fun. Cheers.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take one quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to tell you how to make your face. You know, have you ever seen somebody that you haven't seen in a long time? And then you look at your wife and go, wow, he's not aging well. Just from looking at your face, they can tell that. Well, we're going to show you a way to actually let your face tell people you're aging better than they are. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Superhuman Radio. Verso contains potent compounds proven to increase NAD+. NAD+ is arguably the most important molecule in the body, and without it, you would die in less than 30 seconds. It's responsible for a number of physiological processes, one being that it guides longevity genes called sirtuins to direct cells in the body to perform their jobs. NAD+ levels drop with age, and when they're low, there isn't enough to guide sirtuins, so your cells start to break down. This explains why the body ages, and consequently wrinkles appear. There is less benefit to exercise. It takes longer to recover. And an older body is not resilient like a young body. Start reversing biological age now. Go to shrnetwork.biz/Verso and use the code SHR for 20% off plus free shipping on your bottle of Verso today. MK Supplements grass-fed beef liver is from 100% pasture-raised New Zealand cattle. Unlike other manufacturers, they use a gentle freeze-drying method to turn fresh liver into a powder before filling it into gelatin capsules. Additionally, they don't use hexane or any other harsh chemicals to defat their organ meat. From the glass container and metal lid they use to package their products to the recyclable shipping materials they use for delivery, their goal is to provide the highest quality, most eco-friendly supplements on the market. Go to shrnetwork.biz/liver and use code SUPERHUMAN to receive 15% off your order today. I would easily say that I am the hugest proponent you will ever meet to doing anything that will improve the quality of my sleep. And that's because sleep is linked to just about every metabolic disorder we see in our population today. One of the easiest things you can do to improve the quality of your sleep is to get a pillow that can be shaped into the exact form factor that allows you to get your best night's sleep. And that is MyPillow. I've been sleeping with MyPillow for a few years now, and I can tell you that when I have to travel and stay in hotels, I don't get a good night's sleep because I don't have MyPillow with me. Right now, you can save up to 60% off of everything offered to improve the quality of your sleep at shrnetwork.biz/MyPillow when you use the code SHR. Or you can call toll-free 800-889-4938. And remember to use code SHR to save up to 60% off of everything at their website. If you've listened to Superhuman Radio for any length of time, you know I'm a big proponent of peptides. One of my favorites is GHK-Cu, the blue copper peptide. It has the ability to repair and regenerate more youthful expression of skin cells, reversing the signs of aging. Restora Cell's stem cell awakening serum, along with their other products, contains potent formulations of blue copper peptides and only the highest quality organic ingredients. Superhuman Radio listeners can now save 25% site-wide. Go to shrnetwork.biz/blue and use the code SHR25. Remodel your skin today. The holidays are over and it's time to set your eyes on new goals for the new year. In the thick of winter and sick season, it's more important than ever to support your immune system so that you are strong, healthy, and able to tackle your 2022 goals. Did you know that one of the biggest ways you can boost your immunity is by supporting your gut health? It's true. In fact, 70% of your immune system is in your gut. That's why it's time to get Biome Breakthrough. Biome Breakthrough has powerful probiotics, prebiotics, as well as a one-of-a-kind ingredient called IGY Max. IGY Max is a patented egg-based protein that enhances gut health, reverses damage caused by antibiotics, and even helps with immunity threats. By taking Biome Breakthrough daily, you'll eliminate bad bacteria, feed good bacteria, build up your immunity, and repair your gut lining all at the same time. Go to shrnetwork.biz/biome and use code SHR for 10% off and get a full year, no questions asked, satisfaction guarantee. If you've listened to this show for any length of time, you know that I have struggled to give up coffee for years. Coffee has destroyed my gut and it's impaired my health. Well, I haven't had coffee in months thanks to a product called Magic Mind. Magic Mind is the first nootropic blend I actually feel working. One shot and I'm good all day long. My memory is crystal clear and I'm able to function and have great focus without coffee or caffeine for that matter. If you want to try a product that really works, if you're like me and you want to give up coffee forever, or you just need something occasionally that will help you lift the brain fog, Magic Mind is your product. I promise you that this product you will feel when you use it. Go to shrnetwork.biz/magicmind, all one word, and use the code SHR for a whopping 20% off your first order.
Spit that out right now. This is the Superhuman Channel.
Hey, welcome back to Superhuman Radio. So, I don't know if you guys heard my intro going into the break, but you go out, you see somebody you haven't seen in a long time. And then you look at your wife and go, wow, he or she, they're not aging well, are they? They can't tell from your clothes. They can't tell from your hands or your feet. If they look at your face and they go, oh my God, he's not aging well. Your face gives it away every single time. And the reality is that there are things we can do to at least have our face be an ally instead of an enemy and make people look at us and go, wow, what is it? Did he get younger? What did he have? Some work done to his face or something like that? What do you think about that statement, Terry?
Hey, I think you're absolutely dead on. You got something going there. People, if there's any one thing that they don't want to be remembered for, is somebody who's got an old, tired face.
Now I got to ask you something, Terry. I know you use the product, and yeah. How could you look? I sound like what's his name from Saturday Night Live? You look marvelous. Remember, you do. Your skin looks beautiful. You use your own product. I know that. Restore a Cell. How old are you?
66, almost 67. Yeah.
Yeah, you look great. You look fantastic. And I just want to tell people real quick. So Restore a Cell is a product that uses a peptide that I am a big fan of. I inject it. It's called GHKCU. It's a copper peptide. It's been shown to actually be an amazing anti-aging peptide because it actually switches genes on and off preferentially that increase your ability to age well. They are anti-aging genes. It turns the bad ones off that ruin your aging process. It turns the good ones on. Now, if you want the science behind it, you can go to my show, and I believe it's 2799. Yeah, 2799, where Dr. Suzanne Turner explains the science. So if you want a deeper dive into the science, go to my show number 2799 to learn about what GHKCU actually does. We're just giving you the summary. Because at the end of the day, you can tell me all about the science, but if I can't see the results, I don't care about the science. So we're going to talk about results today. We have a friend of the show, Lenny Albin. Talk about yourself, Lenny. Apparently you've been listening to the show for a while, huh?
I have. I'm a big fan. I was actually listening whenever you were, you had Dr. Suzanne Turner on here.
Right.
It was actually one of the first times that I had watched your show, and I had done research on copper peptides, and I was familiar with it. But whenever she was on the show, I actually had a doctor friend who was explaining to me the benefits of copper peptides, and so I just tried it out. It was, I don't know, I think it's been about 6 months, a little over 6 months now.
So 6 months that you've been using the Restore a Cell product.
That I've been using Restore a Cell, correct.
Now you're a guy. I'm a guy. We're all guys. Do guys care about their skin? This is a rhetorical question, right? Look at this. I was joking in the last segment that Jimmy Hoffa is right there. He's in that track right there. That's where they bury him.
Right. So, yeah, well, I really didn't, to be honest with you, until I turned 40. So it was almost it was like the day that I turned 40, I woke up and my knees hurt and my arms, my shoulder hurt. And so I really didn't, up until then, I really didn't think too much of it. But after using the product, so for me personally, the first 2 weeks, I could tell a difference in my complexion, just right away. But for me now, when I really noticed the transitional, I actually have, so I had lines here that went all the way over here.
Wow.
Right. And another, and more down here. And my forehead is, I mean, if I go like this, I still have some, but it's so much better. I wish I would have taken before and after pictures.
We actually have a couple before and after pictures of another person who apparently uses the product.
Yeah,
but the lines going to all the way back like that, that's dramatic. So those are gone now.
Yeah, I mean, you can barely see it. I don't know if you can see it on, but they're almost completely gone.
Right.
But as far as my face looks more hydrated, I can tell it was around the 4 or 5 month marker for me to where I could see a noticeable difference.
Right.
Obviously with the GHKCU, it does, different people, it's going to take longer for some people. And, so I know some people that have an effect within the first 2 months.
Right.
For me personally, about month 4 or 5 is where I could, it was very
undeniable. It was undeniable. Lenny, how old are you?
I'm 41.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're at that age where we start seeing those things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
I just turned 41.
How do you use it? Do you put it on at night in the morning? Do you use it twice a day? Give us the routine.
So it calls for twice a day. Sometimes I miss, I don't miss. I at least do it once a day. But my routine is I wake up in the morning, go take a shower and clean. I also use the exfoliating. I added that to my regimen. Right. Mm-hmm. So you have your serum, you have your eye cream, and you have your moisturizer. And I just added the exfoliator about 3 months ago, which really helps. Also, I have a little tool that I got that actually applies the exfoliator on my face and helps in that process as well. But I will when I wake up in the morning, clean my face, and then before I go to bed. Is my normal protocol. And they have tutorials and videos of how to actually put it on. Because for guys, we just throw it on and a little goes off. So at first I used half the bottle of the moisturizer.
Right. So let me ask you.
And you don't need a whole lot.
Lenny, do you have a partner or a wife, a girlfriend?
I do have a wife, yes.
Okay. Has she noticed anything? Has she said anything to you?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So, and it's more of your, she notices my face looks more hydrated. It's the complexion. I'm fair skinned, right? So she can tell a major difference just from the hydration level,
right?
And my complexion, but I can see a difference in my lines. It's pretty undeniable, especially the ones that I had going across the.
Elaine Remains, that's her name. Elaine Remains. She's watching on YouTube. She says, this sounds like an expensive product. Now, before you talk about that, I want to also mention that most women spend easily a couple $100 for a bottle of something that is supposed to make their skin look youthful. Guys, we're just starting to get the message. Like, you know what? We can have nice skin too. It's not. Doesn't mean I'm less of a man because I want to look good. Hey, look at us. We go to the gym, right? I want my physique to look good. Why don't I want my face to look good? That's a rhetorical question, but I am asking myself, why am I not taking care of my face? But I find that women will buy products that work and drop a couple $100 easily every single month on a particular, group of products. So how expensive is this stuff? Terry, give us the lineup. If you want to buy the exfoliator, the serum, and the eye cream, all three of them, how much are you into with before the discount that we give them on the show?
So you can, first of all, if you bought them on an individual basis, the exfoliator is $30. The serum is $99. The moisturizer is 89, and the eye cream is 89. You can use we usually always have something going on in terms of a package deal, but nothing as good as what they're getting right now when they're able to buy complete set for $239 plus $30 for the exfoliator, and then get the 25% off. That is a bargain.
Right. If you use the URL shrnetwork.biz/blue, BLU for blue copper peptide, and you use the code SHR25, you'll save an additional 25% off of one of these very, very aggressively priced packages to begin with. But here's the real thing. Expensive is relative to effectiveness, right? So if you buy this product and you drop $300, $290, whatever you drop on it, giving the discounts and all that sort of stuff, and it doesn't work, you're going to feel like you got robbed. But if it works, you're going to buy it again. Because let's face it, at the end of the day, you can spend thousands of dollars on a facelift. You could spend a couple $1,000s on one of these new micro needling, what do they call them? Vampire. Yeah. The vampire, where they actually take your blood and inject it back into your face, and you look like a bloody mess for about a week. You have all puncture face. Women spend $2,000 on that, and then they go, "Look, my skin looks so nice." I mean, expense is relative to what you are getting. This is not an expensive product, and I can tell you this firsthand. I've had women in my life for most of my adult life, and it's nothing for someone to drop $300 on a product and then be disappointed in it, even though the girl at Macy's says this is the greatest in the world. So I don't think it's expensive in those terms personally, but it all hit. So Elaine says, not me. My vitamin C serum is $22, and I put some zinc Ofax baby cream over it. LOL. Okay, and that works for you, but it may not work for everybody. And for other people, this product will work. Now, keep in mind that the thing that we haven't discussed on this show, and you'd have to go to show 2799 to hear the science, is this product doesn't make your skin look young. This product reverses the age of your skin, because that's what the blue copper peptide does. And it's not just the copper. The GHK has been shown to reverse aging on a cellular level, not just to make your face look young and plump, but to actually make your skin younger. And that you're not going to get with vitamin C cream and zinc Ofax. I can guarantee you that. But that being said, so Lenny, you've been using this product for 5 months now. Right?
I think it's a little over 6 months.
Do you feel that it was for what you pay for it? Do you feel that it's a value?
Absolutely. So the thing is, you don't have to use a whole lot of it. I mean, a little goes a long way. So, and my advice would be just, try it out. If you don't want to, do 2 times a day, just put it on for once a day. And then when you see the results, it's just like you were saying earlier. When you see the results, the price is minimal compared to, what you're spending on other products. But in my opinion, you don't need a whole lot. I can make mine stretch over a month for what they have for a month package. I can actually stretch it and it'll go over a month.
And that's what I was going to ask Terry.
Yeah.
I mean, you can make this last longer than a month, really, if you're careful and you don't squirt it all out in your hand at one shot.
Yeah, it's not unusual for people to make a complete set last 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
I want to put a picture up. This is another user, a guy.
Yeah.
Did I drop off?
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
When I changed the image, I must have dropped audio. guys really need to start paying attention to their faces. We pay attention to our bodies. We want to be jacked. We want to be muscular. We want to be lean. Do you remember the ads of doctor? His name was, I used to know him. His name will come to me in a second. But he used to do the A4M commercials. He was a doctor, gray hair, glasses, balding in the middle. And he had this body from the neck down. He looked like he was in his 30s, but from his neck up, he looked like he was in his 70s, and he was in his 70s. The face is the magic that completes the package. You can't have a jacked and tan body and then a face like an old shoe like I do. I got to get busy. I mean, it's really something that people need to pay attention to, I think. Let's see. We have another comment here. Let's get to it real quick. Let's see what it is. Oh, no. It wasn't Dr. Goldman. No, it was his name is, his last name is actually something to do with young youthfulness, believe it or not. I just can't think of him right now. It'll come to me probably after the show is over. But he used to be the spokesperson for A4M. And he looked great from the neck down. The guy had an enviable body. But from the neck up, he looked like he was in his late 70s, early 80s. And that's a buzzkill. So guys need to get with the program. They need to learn to start taking care of their face. I'm going to put the banner ad up again one more time so people can see where to go and what to get. They can go to shrnetwork.biz/blue. Use the code SHR25 for an additional 25% off already fantastic packaging that is still left over from Christmas. All of these products contain not all of them. Which products do all of them contain GHKCU, Terry?
The three core products do: the moisturizer, the serum, and the eye cream. Yes.
All right. GHKCU is an amazing anti-aging peptide. I inject it. I actually take it post-workout with my post-workout stack. And it will actually reverse the aging of your skin, not just make your skin look young and plump. Big, big difference. And it's worthy of your investigation. And we have one more comment here. We'll get up here. Finn Mackey, he says, I drank an expensive coffee daily and I'd quit. Yeah, and that's a good point, right? Somebody will say, oh, that's too expensive. Then they'll go into Starbucks and pay $6 for a 3-shot latte. True story, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, people spend lots of money on crappy coffee every single day, but then to not spend a couple bucks on your skin, a different story. So to summarize, Lenny, what would you tell people who are sitting on the fence thinking, I don't know if I want to do this? What would you tell them?
I mean, you try it out. Like I said, within the first 2 weeks for me personally, I noticed such great results in the complexion of my skin that I thought, well, even if it takes, because I've talked to several different people and they say, you know, for some people it will work within the first 2 or 3 months, but to actually, for me to see a difference was at that 4 or 5 month marker, to where I knew that I was making you're investing in yourself, right? You're investing in your face. And as far as the health benefits that come along with taking this product versus something that's in mainstream retail, I think that side of it as well. If you just study, Dr. Suzanne Turner is a great person. She talks about it in a couple of her videos that she has on YouTube, but it also is much healthier than a lot of the products that are in mainstream right now. So my suggestion would be try it out for a first month. If you're already using a product, just try it out, give it a try for the first month and see the results. And I think the results speak for itself.
And I can't think of his first name, but his last name was Dr. Self, SELF. When you just said the word self, I thought that was his name. I think his first name was Jeffrey, but it may have been something else. But he was the spokesperson for A4M, and he had an admirable physique, but his face was old as a shoe. And there's just something about the contrast. It was like,
right.
Ooh, like, wait a minute, this guy, so you got to keep your face updated too. There's no doubt about it, not just your body. Let's just see. We have one more comment or question. Can I ask again, is the $300 bundle, does it only last a month? No, it'll last you longer than a month if you're careful about how you use it. And I guess you see a discount on top of that. So you need to just go to the website and check it out. But as Lenny is saying, and he gets it to last longer than a month and closer to 6 weeks, I guess, right?
That's correct. Yeah. And it's, so when you buy the product, it's normally $125 from what, well, they also, they're good about giving discounts too. So I get emails constantly for, 25% off, or, and sometimes even more. I think they ran a special during Christmas as well. So there's opportunities to get it for less than $300.
Now Elaine points something out. She says, I'm Canadian. It's more expensive for me. So what do you do about that? Can you ship to Canada, Terry?
Oh yeah. We've got a lot of customers in Canada. Absolutely.
Yeah, but the Canadian dollar versus the US dollar. So she's up against that wall too.
Understand.
Well, how about this? Is there a way to reach out to you on the website?
Sure. Absolutely.
Elaine, go to the website and say, hey, I'm the gal who was watching your show today, and I would love to try this product. Can you do something special for us Canadians? Because we have Trudeau ruining our country. How about that? Let's give a Trudeau discount. Let's do that. Give a special Trudeau discount. We sympathize with you, our Canadian brothers and sisters. We love you all, and this is the Trudeau discount. There you go. How about that? I probably just lost. Elaine probably just said, "F you, Carl. I'm gone." She said, "Oh no, she's with us." She says, "Haha, okay." I'm sorry. I worried after I said that I insulted you. I'm sorry. So there you go, folks. Get your face to catch up with your body. If you're jacked and tan, but you look like an old shoe like me, then it's time for you to upgrade. 2022 is your year. 2022 is the year for men to start caring about how they look from the neck up, I say. What do you guys think?
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's do that. It's a definite self-branding improvement.
Yeah. And like I said, people see your face first. You walk into a restaurant, somebody goes, man, he's aging bad. Look at how bad he looks. Meanwhile, you could be jacked and tan underneath your shirt. They just don't know. There you go. All right, look, that's it for today's show. Thank you for being here, Lenny, and coming out and talking to us today. Thanks, Terry, for being here. And also thanks to the two doctors that talked about the ugly naked mole rat and what we can learn about anti-aging from them. And we'll see everybody tomorrow with more Superhuman Radio. Don't forget, share the show. You never know who you're going to help. You may help one person by sharing this show. You may change one life. That's all you have to do. I have it on special authority from the Pope to tell you that if you change one life, you'll get into heaven. So be sure to share this show today. All right, guys. See you later.
Thanks, Carl.
Take care. All right, we'll see everybody tomorrow with more Superhuman Radio. Thank you for being here today.